So this evening I'm going to talk to you about the fundamentals of spectacle dispensing. It shouldn't take any more than 45 minutes, all going well, and I will take any questions at the end of the webinar. We'll have a wee Q&A session at the end. Alternatively, you can add some questions into the chat link and we'll address them at the end of the session. So our agenda this evening will include why lens-led dispensing and the importance of that. We'll follow on to the 6 steps of spectacle dispensing. And then we'll touch a bit on technologies and why that's important with the dispense. From there, we'll just finish off and summarize with some hints and tips. And that's when we'll take some questions and for at the end of the session. So moving on from there, let's start. It's important to consider where you are and where you believe you are currently in a somewhat saturated market. It's tough out there at the moment. In Edinburgh, for example, we have seen in the last 2 years 4 new dispensing only practices open up. And although there's a place for everybody, everyone has their own focus on their business. We're tonight going to just concentrate on a lens-led approach and why that may work for you. And then we can decide where you sit in the market and where you like to believe you sit. You've got your practices that focus on price and value, and you have emerging frame focus retailers. Like I mentioned, we have Cubits. I think we have 2 Cubits in Edinburgh now. Iola are very big in Scotland, and I think they're reaching down to Manchester. Then you have your clinical based practices. And like I said, they've all got their place in the market. So why do we focus on lens-led dispensing? Well, what we have is basically you need to consider this as you're dispensing your frame dispense. 65% of that is made up of your lens cost. I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. I should have done that in the first place. So time spent dispensing high quality personalized lenses will actually increase the value of your dispense if it's done correctly. So we'll focus on the approach to that and how this will help increase customer satisfaction and experience and loyalty. Well, what do I mean by loyalty? Well, it's important to consider that the patient's needs and visual requirements while remembering that in the first instance, they've come to you. The frame is a secondary, even if they've chosen you because of the frames that you stock. Their visual needs is primarily why they are there, and this is what we've got to think about. I think you agree that when you go to buy a large purchase anywhere, you tend to find any information you find about that purchase, of the technologies involved or the features and benefits of that, will help you decide on that purchase. For buying a car, for example, you will learn about car features and benefits. You go into a showroom, you might just be looking at a car and getting the aesthetics of it, but we all know you'll go for the car that you're understanding what it does for you, and the information that you receive from that car salesman will be important. And then if you've possibly walked away having bought an expensive car with all the gadgets and bells and whistles, but you'll be happy and you have that customer satisfaction, and you'll go back there in a couple of years. So we want to try and lead this into your spectacle dispense in the same way. And you've got to remember, I mean, I'm not suggesting that nobody knows about, for example, your cars, but people coming into a practice, they're not all knowledgeable on the lenses. They don't know what they want. It's our job there to inform them of what's available to them. So we were talking about lens-led dispensing and how it can increase loyalty. It's important to consider the patient's needs, visual requirements, while remembering that it's while they're with you in the first instance. And remember that they've like I said before, they've come in possibly and potentially because you've got a fantastic range of frames, but ultimately they're there for their eye care and the service and their visual requirements. So the loyalty will come from having that experience and having that customer service and having you listen to what their needs are and providing them with something that will adequately provide visual comfort and their visual requirements. And all this will reinforce the care and build your brand. You'll see many times, and everybody's writing reviews at the moment, but your reviews that you find will be mainly, the percentage of reviews will be about the staff, your service, their visual lenses, what they're getting from the service. Rarely will you find it's a great frame that was dispensed. That will come along and that's great, but that's the added bonus. Oh dear. So what is lens-led dispensing? Lens-led dispensing is it's important, and it's worth remembering that your patient has already committed themselves to coming into your store, and this is your opportunity to lead the dispense with the lens discussion, therefore allowing the opportunity to sell the benefits and features of the lens that best suit the requirements. It should take precedence, and thus providing more personalised and satisfying experience for the customer. Of course, we can't implement any of this without our wonderful dispensers, and the importance of the dispenser, and qualified or unqualified. It's very important that your dispenser has an extensive knowledge, and this is the key, and I'll come to this a little bit more when we talk about technologies and lens knowledge. So like I said, qualified or not, continuous education is very important, and we have got that at the moment. We have our CBD, and it's not just available just for qualified dispensers. It's open to anyone in that role, and optoms alike, of course. So we have the technology that's moving on at a very fast rate. So it's not just a qualified position, move in, start dispensing and stay there. It's a constant moving role and a learning role. And with that, we ask dispensers in the first instance what the confidence was towards what we're talking about tonight, lens-led dispensing. And what we discovered was 63 dispensers felt that the knowledge was pretty good. 14% of dispensers felt their knowledge was limited, and only 23% believed their knowledge to be great and were up to date with improvements in technology. So ideally, the results not terribly surprising, but we would like to see at least the 14% of dispensers with their knowledge limited up there within the 63%, and of course raise that 23% up a lot higher by bringing them up to speed with technologies and lenses that are available. And like I said, that's a constant, a continuous educational program, really. So where do we start with our dispensing? Well, I have the 6 steps to the perfect dispense. And there we have an example of our everyday customers, Ken and Barbie, and that is Margot Robbie. You might not agree, but it is Margot. I've been reassured it is Margot Robbie. And we have our 6 steps to the perfect dispense. And we'll go through these in a wee bit more detail. First of all, we have our 3-way handover with the optometrist. Then we go to, and then it's the next step is being prepared and listening to your patient, understanding their needs and requirements. Moving swiftly on to your lens selection. So we're putting that ahead of your frame selection. Then we have our frame selection, and as important as the frame selection, we've got your frame fitting. Ending with your measurements and prescription interpretation. Ending with your customer agreement and your final, your end of your dispense. So we'll start with the 3-way handover. Excuse me. I can't stress enough how important a good handover is. I had an interesting meeting with some managers this morning, and we were talking about the 3-way handover and how perhaps isn't happening in every practice and how it should. But what came up on that conversation was the importance of not only the 3-way handover when your patient leaves the consulting room, but perhaps an introduction handover before the patient enters the dispensing room. I think this is really important. This gives the dispenser an opportunity to find out from your patient before they go into the dispensing room about how they're settling on with their glasses, how things are happening. It's an opportunity to have a look at the frames to see if they're in need of a little bit of an MOT or any repair. And because what you've got to understand is that patient has come in on the back of their 2-year or year recall, And they've been waiting for this, they're ready for this. So they are of the mindset, most likely, that they're ordering some spectacles at the end of their consultation. But it's a good opportunity before they go and see the optometrist to have a look at their glasses, see what kind of condition it is, and there's this potential to sow that seed. So glasses are looking a wee bit tired now. The lenses are a bit scratched. We can make this a lot clearer with some new lenses, but don't forget to pass this information on to the optometrist. So as well as the three-way handover when they come out from the testing room, it's important that you pass this information on to the optometrist at the time. And don't forget the expertise of the optometrist, and they're already started that dispense as such in the consulting room. A good optometrist will ask a lot of open questions. How are they getting on? What is it they like about the glasses at the moment? Are they having any difficulties? And questions like their hobbies and their lifestyles should also come up at that moment. So even if the prescription is stable, and stable is better than no change, the optician has already found out, the optometrist has already gleaned that information from their patient as for any issues or problems they're having at the moment, or what they're looking for. And so it's very important when the optometrist comes out that they have this three-way handover, and this could be done in the consulting room, a wee bit more privacy, but definitely should not be forgotten about. And remember what we all say, the optometrist's word is gospel. And if that information is passed between yourself, the patient, and the dispenser, you've got that agreement, and it's an easy lead from there on. But be prepared, prepare yourself. I say that because we're all aware, especially now with technology, with computer screens and prescriptions that are coming out of the dispensing room, you know how long that consultation is. You know it's going to be 20 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour, or whatever. You can see most cases the prescription come up on your screen outside. Be ready, be prepared for that patient to come out, but not with a lightsaber. And be prepared. Have your desk organized. I know it sounds really simple and quite straightforward, but there's nothing worse than an untidy desk, or sitting down with your patient ready to discuss all these wonderful lenses that you're going to tell them about, and you're having to get up and find a ruler or a mirror or a reading chart. Have everything to hand at your desk so you come across as professional, because you are professional, and everything's all ready and tidy, and it maintains a smooth flow in the interactions. So you've sat down, and now it's time to listen. The importance of listening. Listening will help you understand the customer's needs. It'll address any concerns they may have, provide effective solutions from listening, create your personalization of the lens. You'll have accurate prescription filling, and mainly it avoids misunderstanding. Now, unfortunately, we're in this climate where people aren't getting to see doctors anymore, and you've got this opportunity to sit with your patient and find out what their issues are, if there are any issues, or just having a nice chat. But you can glean a lot from this conversation, and people will like to sit and talk. You might find out things you don't want to know, but this is the opportunity to have that rapport and that interaction with your patient to find out what their needs are. And obviously these will enhance the customer experience, and learning all about what their hobbies and interests are will build this and upsell opportunities as well. But having said that, the most important thing is not to make any assumptions. And I think with listening, you will avoid this. If you ask the questions and you find out about what their lifestyles are, you'll avoid any kind of toxic assumptions, because we know there's a living crisis. Fuel bills are through the roof, but it's never our place to assume that they haven't got enough money or they don't want to buy because of this. Of course, we need to be empathetic, but remember your customer knew this appointment was coming up, and they've possibly saved for it. You don't know that, so you're not in a position to judge. You've got Elsie in the Bridge Club, whose neighbour has just had new glasses, and she's like, okay, I'm going to get mine next week, and she doesn't want to hear, I've got a stable prescription, or there's no change. Absolutely, she'd be delighted that her prescription hasn't deteriorated, but we've got to hang on to that that dispense, and she's been looking forward to that. She's been putting money aside. So there never should be any assumptions or any judging. And remember what our man says, our clever man, Albert Einstein: assumptions are made and most assumptions are wrong. So best to avoid it. Sorry. So we've had a nice chat, we've had a nice listen, and we've got everything to hand. We know about the patient's hobbies, etc., or their lifestyle. They've retired, they're just driving to see the grandchildren at the weekend. They've got all these things in hand. It's time to have consider the lens selection. So we've got the personalized prescription, we have all our lens options to consider, and with that we have to bear in mind the lens options and adaptability to their lifestyles. And that may mean in some cases low visual aids, specialty lenses, lenses that we can explain that will enhance their visual clarity. So when there's a stable prescription, there's still opportunities there to give them a better all-round visual experience, and not forgetting protection and comfort as well when it comes to the spectacles. And then, of course, aesthetics and fashion. So we've got our thinner lenses and our nice coatings. This is a good example. If you have to hand tools, visual tools are excellent to help you in this process. This is a good example of a visual which goes across 4 examples of very good varifocal lenses. This is our Caledonian lens selection. And we have, for example, we have an award-winning Arc Steady as our main varifocal lens, but we also have, at the other end of the scale, a lens more specific perhaps for drivers, which will combat the likes of night myopia with a night myopia zone in the lens. So the lenses are personalized for that individual. So you've had the chat, and you now have the availability to find that lens for that patient. There's no point turning that around and showing the patient, well, this is your choice. You're the expert. You've just heard what their needs are. You can then recommend the lens best for them. Of course, that applies the same for single vision lenses. And you can be more direct in recommending a specific lens for someone, even with a single vision. Don't forget, you're the expert. And they only know the options that are available to them if you tell them. We have, for example, high definition lenses now, the anti-fatigue lenses, not to be just used as a pre-presbyopic lens. Great lens for younger people on their digital devices. My all-time favorite office lens, occupational lenses. And then, for example, Caledonian have a fantastic drive lens, which is single vision, which also incorporates that night myopia zone as well. So they don't know about those lenses. You're in a position to explain the benefits and features of lenses available to them. So I've put a little example here, which you've probably seen something like this at most CBD events, but we've created some little, sorry. I have some examples of some customers. I'm not going to test you because you can't speak to me anyway, but I'll just go through these. We have Stuart, and he's age 47, and he currently wears progressives. The Optom finds his RX stable. However, he's complaining about neck ache, blurred vision after spending a few hours on his laptop at home marking papers. Now, varifocals are wonderful, and there's some great varifocals out there, but this gentleman's come in, the prescription's stable, but he's still not happy. There's things we can do for him to make his life more comfortable. And in this particular situation, it'd be worthwhile considering an occupational lens as a secondary pair of glasses. His varifocals are great. He may decide to update them to have a new frame, but this is the perfect opportunity to explain there is a lens available for you that you can keep by your desk, keep by your computer, and will work for you and help you and relieve the neck and ache from lifting your head. I mean, varifocals are great for everything, but this is a more specific lens for you. Then we have Ian, excuse me a second. And he's a delivery driver for Amazon. He's on the road up to 9 hours a day, and he enjoys socializing with his friends and watching box sets. He finds his current progressives good, but he's finding less comfortable driving in the dark hours of the day. And this is happening now as we're into the winter months, and we hear it a lot. I just don't like driving at night. And we've got something for that. We have a lens for that. We can help you with that. Perfect lens for him would be a zone drive, a varifocal version, which, as I mentioned before, you've got a lens there that will combat that night myopia and ease that strain that he's experiencing from driving on long hours. Then we have Claire, and she's 42. She works part-time in the retail environment, teenage children. Now, she's just got a very small lad, an 050. So coming into that kind of presbyopic era, and she has got that small lad, and she's, again, complaining, getting a wee bit tired, itchy eyes towards the end of the day. She doesn't use the screen very often, but she occasionally has to look at small print. We hear a little bit more about her lifestyle at the weekends. She spends most weekends with her children, spectating at their sports events, and enjoys arts and crafts. Well, there's a lens there for her. I mean, we could just let her go out and say, well, we'll see you in a couple more years and we'll dispense you a varifocal. But there's no need for that. If you've got an anti-fatigue lens, that will help ease all those ailments for her. So there's something for everybody, but these are all stable prescriptions, and these are all people who've come out, and they'll just go straight out the door if we don't get that opportunity to explain what's there for them and what that will help them. And technology has moved on to allow us to offer these to patients. So that's your lens selection. You've had your discussion, you've addressed concerns and questions, and you've finally collaborated on a perfect outcome for them, and they're happy with that. So it's on to the fun thing, the frame selection. My first recommendation on that is know your stock. I know there's a lot of frames, but any good dispenser will know their stock. Be aware of what you've got. You could ask questions initially about, like, what do you like about your current frames? Is there a particular style or color that you favor? And actually offer to suggest a style to them. Take your patient to the frames, or take a lead on this and let them stay seated and suggest, ask, do you mind if I go and choose you some frames? Absolutely. In Cameron's for 6 years, we did this all the time. We would take a tray, we'd find the frames, we'd bring them back to the patient. They're sitting there with their mirror, they're nice, relaxed, enjoying the experience. Here are 5 frames that I've chosen for you. What do you think? That's a lovely way to dispense. Did this for many, many years, and of all the customers that I ever came across, I probably had 1 or 2 who wanted to just go and look at the frames themselves, but they're relying on you to advise them and recommend to them what suits them on what looks best. That's what you're good at. So try that approach. It's a good approach to have. Don't forget the fit with the frame selection. There's nothing worse. You've just spent a good 15 minutes having a lovely chat about the lenses, and you've dispensed a really high quality lens, and now you're going to pop that into a frame that should and be crucially a perfect fit. And this is important, of course, for their comfort, visual performance, and by prioritizing a proper fit, your customer can enjoy the full benefits of the prescription lenses that you've just spent 10 minutes discussing and explaining to them. And they'll give them the confidence in wearing their glasses. So I said you'd see that frame again, and there it is. A little bit more about the frame fitting and choosing the frame. I mean, it's not all about choosing the most expensive or the best designer frame for the patient. It's the one that suits the patient. It's the frame that's going to sit there comfortably. There is no point in dispensing and potentially £800 dispense, a Feb 31st and a varifocal lens, and it coming to £800 and it doesn't fit, because you can guarantee that patient will be back a week later after collection. They won't fit. You'll be tweaking them, you'll be adjusting them, they'll come back again, they're still not comfortable, and ultimately you'll be changing the whole dispense, and you've now lost your profit and you've lost the loyalty. So it's extremely important to get a good fitting frame. This is my good friend who is also a dispensing optician, and she saw the Gillian frame before I did. She had the frame rep in her practice in York, and she sent me this photo, and we did have a laugh. But her PD is at, I think, 63, but you can see it actually doesn't fit her at all. I had to pay her in wine to allow me to use this photo, and but it's a cute photo. I like it. But that's the same frame, so it just goes to show not one size fits all, and it's very important to take the time and have a proper fit on the frame. With that in mind, it's very important to consider the position aware measurements of the frame, and this is your frame and the lenses combined, and how that works, so it's more tailored. If you consider a tailored suit, for example, you might consider this for comfort, fit, appearance, customization, all listed there above. That will serve you well over time. And it will be an experience. It'll be fantastic. The tailored suit, it will last long. It will look great. It'll be fantastic. Why not consider those same elements when it comes to your lenses in your spectacle, in your frames? And you do this by taking your position aware measurements. And they're not complicated. You have your general, you've got your prescription initially, but you've got your pupil distance, your wrap angle, your back vertex distance, and our good old favorite pantoscopic angle. And we all know that a slight adjustment on a pantoscopic angle on a varifocal can make an amazing difference on that patient's visual experience. So even if you just put that measurement in of a frame that you haven't got a 10-degree angle on, perhaps list that on your prescription requirements, and the lab will take all that information. That will be the ingredients to the recipe in creating the perfect personalized lens for them. And you've got your equipment to do that. Of course, a lot of the equipment now has an element of theatre surrounding it, but the centering columns, the iPads, they're all extremely accurate in their results. I favour a trusty Abdul rule and a facial gauge, but more and more I see these other equipment that's coming out. They're absolutely fantastic. And if you're in a position to have anything like that, then absolutely. The theatre is great, but the measurements are super accurate, and makes it so much easier to list all these requirements to the lab. So, in summary, we have had the three-way handover with the optometrist, and not forgetting the introduction beforehand, if you can manage that. Be prepared, but more importantly, listen. You have your lens selection following that, your frame selection, make sure that frame is fitting superbly, and you finalize with your measurements and prescription interpretation, maybe position aware measurements as well. And that is your lens-led dispense. However, we need to consider the technologies. We've talked about what lenses we would dispense, but where are we with technology these days? And having I did a little reminder for you of where we've gone over the decades and how technology has moved on. We have in the 80s, for example, the Sony Walkman. I don't know what age group I'm dealing with, but I thought a Sony Walkman was the best thing since sliced bread. So we had Sony Walkmans in the 80s and video recorders. Moving on from there, we went to the 90s. We had dial-up internet, biotechnology and medicine improvements there. In the noughties, we had the introduction of smartphones, broadband and digital photography, GPS, etc. And now the 2010s, or as we should say, 2020s now, we have 5G and AI, self-driving cars and drones, etc. And of course, streaming on demand. So technology's moved on a lot over the decades. And if you compare that with where we are in the optical world, I mean, I've started there in the 70s. We had the introduction of polycarbonate lenses, the early development of those. And in the 80s, we saw the introduction of progressives more so. Trivex, anti-reflection coatings, etc. The 90s, improvements in transition lenses, digital freeform technology. In the 2000s, we have blue filtering coatings came about, and of course, super hydrophobic coatings too. 2010s, we saw the introduction of high definition lenses, occupational lenses, and then again, more improvements in transitions with Gen 8 and customized freeform lenses also. The 2020s have come about, and we now have camber technology, advanced blue light protection, and our favorite at the moment, talk of the town, myopia management lenses. So you can see over the decades how much technology has moved on. And where does all this magic happen? Well, I'll show you an example of a lab. If anybody ever gets an opportunity to visit a lab, I can highly recommend it, because I have noticed on experience over the last year, when you're working in a practice and you parcel up the job and you send it to the lab, you don't see what happens, and you think, well, why is it taking 4 days? Why is it doing this? But this is the technology involved, and this is what a £1.5 million investment looks like in a highly automated, sustainable manufacturing lab. And I'll just show this wee video for you, and hopefully it will play. I think you'll agree it looks very smart, and let's not forget that there's a human element to all this too. It's not all the fancy equipment and machines that are doing all the work. You've got lab technicians who are experts in their fields and working in these labs, and they know their stuff. So technology, traditional V technology, where we are today. In the 1950s, we saw the introduction of varifocals, and it was hard design then, and they were later joined in the 80s by the soft design varifocal, and they're still available today. We're still dispensing them. There's nothing new there. Sorry, I'll just put that one in there. We have with progressives now the introduction of camber technology. This is a complex. This camber technology combines complex curves on both surfaces of the lens to provide excellent vision correction, and this is unique, continuously changing the front surface of the specially designed lens blank, specifically created to expand reading zones and improve peripheral vision. So you've got camber technology, variable base curve, digital ray path technology. That's drastically reduces oblique aberrations on the lens, creating a much wider field of view. So that's your progressive lenses, but there's not to forget your digital lenses, single vision lenses. These haven't been developed since 1920 and until now. And now we have digital lenses available to you. And I have a lovely short video to show you a little bit more about that, which will explain the movement of technology and single vision lenses. And I'll play that for you now.
Throughout history, mankind has made countless technological advances, and there's more to be discovered. We now have devices and experiences that were previously unimaginable. In recent years, these breakthroughs in technology have evolved faster. Many are inspired by the wisdom of nature itself. By creating synergies with nature, we have achieved extraordinary results. IoT's most advanced lens personalization technology, Digital RayPath 2, is a result of these synergies. It harnesses the power of the human eye to create advanced lens designs. The eyes have a natural ability to accommodate, to effortlessly see objects clearly over a range of distances. This natural mechanism allows the eyes to focus with amazing precision. We effortlessly see clearly over a range of distances without changing the direction of our gaze. Digital Ray Path 2 captures this ability, improving the wearer's vision point by point with a personalized lens design while considering their natural range of accessible focal distances in the accommodative object space. In short, Digital Ray Path 2 allows wearers to enjoy totally personalized lenses with impeccable visual quality. Digital Ray Path 2, pushing the limits of geometry in lens personalization.
I think you can see from that video exactly how advanced we have become. We have come with new technologies available to us. And we can see that around us in everyday objects. Let's take an example. Oh, sorry. Put the right button. For example, let's look at technology, everyday technology. The mobile phone, for example. Why do we change our mobile phone every 2 years, every year? Why do we do that? We do it for a smarter camera, clearer images, better color, and smarter technology. And we don't think twice about it, because that's what we're looking for. Well, you can compare that very well with your spectacles and your lenses. Smarter technologies involved with clearer, sharper images. This is what we should be talking about. Another good example is your television, your HD TV and your normal television. I remember going to buy my television. I didn't even know about HD television until I saw the screen and how clear and sharp that image was, and there was no going back. So it's around you in everyday items. So we should be talking about it with our spectacles as well. So that almost concludes my slightly disastrous talk, and well, just some hints and tips from what we discussed. So I think it's important to, if you want to take the lens-led approach, I hope I've explained the reasons behind that and why it's important to embrace a focused strategic mindset in your dispensing. Very important to be knowledgeable in the innovations that are on technology now. Stay well informed, be well versed in the latest advancements in technologies. It's important to ask the questions, remember to engage with your customer and find out what their needs are, and ultimately be an expert in your field. And by doing all this, you'll be providing the very best service. And remember, the customer journey, that customer has already chosen you. So that signifies that they've already recognized valued aspects of your business. They've already come in, they've answered the recall, they're in your store, you're now there, and you're in the position to explain and give their patient the opportunity to get the best visual results from them, and your opportunity to be the best super dispenser that you have been trained to be. Thank you. I will possibly take some questions now, and if there are any. And we will put a wee feedback form on the end of the screen, and if you could take a minute to fill that in, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And also, if you'd like to hear more about Caledonian Optical, and feel free to scan the QR code on the screen now and reach out to any of our partnership managers from Caledonian Optical. And this is a beautiful bunch all here on the screen. I think we've got Stuart there now.
Hi, Gillian.
Hello, all can hear you. Good. It's nice to hear a voice.
That's all right. It's good. Well, I'd like to thank you for pulling that presentation together. Also, let everybody know that we have a team of people at Caledonian Optical that are here to support you. And we have a number of what we call partnership managers that are based in and around the UK. We have Alana Seller, who's up in Scotland and covers Northern Ireland. We have Claire Hayden, who covers our London and South East region. We've got Paul, who many of you will know, who covers Midlands and the north of England. And Ian Rosie, our most recent recruit, is covering the whole of the Southwest. So if you'd like to follow up with any of those individuals for more information or support on lens-led dispensing, then, you know, please just take a moment to either jot down their telephone number. They'd, you know, really appreciate and welcome a call from you,